It's live. It says it's live. Nice.
Yeah, we should be live.
Sweet.
Hello there, everyone. We are going to give it 5 minutes roughly before we have a start, just to let people sign in.
1 second. I'm just
give it a couple of minutes.
It only shows obviously me live, like the chat on my live, so I'm going to get the lives up on my phone as well.
Yeah.
I just got the notification anyway, so got my notifications on, Tom. For you.
All right, hang on.
Sweet.
We got a few people coming in already. We've got 5 here. Hi, Dean.
Hello, Dean. Hello.
I think it said we got Mackenzie.
How you doing, Hood? Stein. I say your name perfectly now, Stein. I'm just saying. Not bad to see. Hey, Tom. Hey, Ryan. What's up? What's up? Right, awesome. So, what's been going on with you? Obviously, I've watched your Asian forest scorpion build as well today.
Yeah, I'm right. Stein, I'll make you a mod next time. There's all sorts of things I need to do. Right, anyways, yeah, awesome. I'm so excited about my scorpion, but I haven't seen him since putting him in the terrarium as we expected.
Yeah.
But so when I first put him in, he went into the log. He's definitely come out and made a little burrow in the front of the log. Hey, KB. So there's like a hole in the front of the log. So he's definitely burrowed down there. The night before last, I noticed there was also a hole under the big rock where I had started a burrow for him. He had definitely excavated that more.
Yeah.
And then last night he's filled it in. So I'm guessing he's back under the log or in the log. But I haven't seen him since. So I'm gonna set up a night vision camera with record mode on motion tracker thing, and I should capture something hopefully soon.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I mentioned to you that I've like barely seen mine, like a few times, and that's it. Seen him feel like once or twice max. That's literally about it. So, but they are good fun, and obviously I got mine from like a juvenile, so it was like my little finger, and now it's like my thumb or something, you know. So like it's good to see that he's growing, but I can't really see it happening. I only see it when I see it. I'm like, oh, you're getting bigger, and then next time that's it, really.
I mean, mine's massive. Mine's probably about half the size of my hand.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like,
yeah, to be fair, they were all the same price in the shop. But they said like, which one do you want? And I said, I'll get like a juvenile, and I can sort of see it grow really. But that was the only reason behind it. Or I would have went for that just because it was less worry, you know, of anything happening while they're young, type of thing.
Well, that's it. I just got what I got, to be honest. Got whatever I was given, and I was happy.
Yeah,
right.
So that's congrats, KB, as well. Sorry, mate. KB said he's going to be a dad soon. Congrats. Just,
really? Well done, KB. Congratulations.
Mine's due on Thursday. I wasn't sure how it was going to be tonight as well. But we were fine. We're doing good.
Well, if you have to run off at any moment, we completely understand.
You'll know why,
Yeah, right. So let's start with the stream. So welcome everybody to the picnic table and chat. I think this is the number 3. We have guest speaker AntScapes Brian here. If you want to introduce yourself, Brian.
Yeah, so my name's Ryan. My channel is called AntScapes. I've had the channel for almost a year now, and basically the channel is based around building bioactive setups or natural setup, trying to mirror obviously habitats that, you know, whatever invert or whatever animal or creature I decide to keep, it's trying to mirror what they would have, you know, in nature. But that's pretty much it really. I've got some videos on there like tutorials. So if you aren't subscribed, then you know, go check it out, sub to the channel and check out some of my videos. I uploaded one today, which was a more negative video, which was like my Chromatogasta, obviously the disaster video where they escaped. So if you're up for a good laugh as well, you know, just go check that video out too. But yeah, that's pretty much it really.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that video later tonight. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So yeah, there will be a link in the description to AntScapes channel, so make sure you have checked that out and subscribed if you haven't already. So we've got a few questions to start with. I hope you're ready for these, Ryan.
All for me. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So, first question. We're going proper interview style now. First question. Why did you start your channel?
It's a good question. I guess I started it because I've always been into, and it all started from aquascaping. So when I was like 13-year-old, I got a tank for Christmas. But like a big tank, I think it was a 3-foot aquarium. So it was like a good size to have, fairly young age. But that was something that I asked for. I always wanted one, always been really interested in it. And I sort of had that for about 3 or 4 years. And then like since that time, I bought like a 4-foot tank. I was still at my parents', so everything was like, as you can imagine, me trying to get tanks in my parents' house was like an absolute nightmare. But it all came from aquascaping. So I used to like sort of make the tanks, try and do all my aquascapes, and then within like 2 months, I'd always end up getting fed up and like tearing it down and restarting. But I was working, towards the end. I still worked, when I was like going through schools or like paper rounds, things like that. So I would always buy new things, and that's all I had my money to spend on really was aquarium stuff. I remember I got like one time I found white spot on my hands on my neon tetras, and I literally like drove my bike for about 2 hours all the way down to the aquarium store, and then turns out they didn't even have any blue fungus in. So I couldn't even cure it. So I drove all the way there, and I was like, well, I'm here now. So I ended up just like buying some aquarium food and something. But it started from that. And then I stopped for about 4 years. I made like, about 23. Yeah, about 23. I started making like just staff projects again, because I did move out and then things went south. I ended up having to move back in. Stories, we've all probably got them. But yeah, and then what happened was when I finally moved in here, I was watching Ant Hollifer, MD Fish Tank, Serpa Design, obviously, to name a few of the people who I really, enjoyed watching, and they were sort of really inspiring me to just get back into it. Not necessarily, obviously, just aquascaping, and the channel itself kind of took a massive steer away from aquascaping, because obviously it went more like inverts and things like that. But I am happy that I got to build something behind me, which is like paludarium. So I still have fish in there, a water section, things like that. But that's it really. I mean, I think it got to the point where I was thinking to myself, well, I've always enjoyed doing this. Hopefully I can share some things I've learned, because when I was in the hobby, you didn't have all these fancy, filters and, lighting systems you have now. Honestly, it was so bare bones. It was like tier 8s, I think it was. It was like the most inefficient lights ever. So even to get plants, like aquatic plants to grow in tanks back then, always felt like an absolute, mission. Or getting like a lovely carpet on the foreground and things like that. But no, I wanted to just sort of bring my knowledge. My father heavily inspired me too, from what he did as a job. And any time we'd go anywhere, he'd always be telling me Latin names of plants, and I always found it really boring. Obviously, when you're younger and you think, "Oh, shut up, Dad," but it helped me a lot. Obviously, from going from being a kid and learning Latin names of plants from my dad, because he loved the hobby as well. He had tanks as well when I was growing up. I mean, his then were like under gravel filters and things, like even worse, tech to what we have now, or efficiency, we'll say. But that's how it started, really. I've always been around it. All my family have always been like really keen gardeners, and I think it was just because that was the main reason I knew a lot anyway. And then I thought to myself, well, I may as well bring what knowledge I know. If the channel does well, it does well. But for me, it was more, I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy what I build. It's therapeutic, and caring for the animals it's always really good fun. I think your busy day, whatever rubbish day, whatever happens, you can always guarantee you go in the animal room, you start sorting stuff, you soon take your mind off it, and you enjoy what you're doing. And I think that's sort of what the channel was about, really, is just showing people what I've got, what I can do, and hopefully that helps people if they're ever deciding to keep the things I keep as well. But yeah.
I think you accomplished that with your channel. Really, it's a brilliant channel. So chilled as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's obviously like peace and love because
Yeah,
it's always about peace and love in it.
that's
Can't get
it.
the camera out, but no, it's always been. I've always been like that. Never anyone to like, never the type of person for like confrontation and things. But it's always been peace and love. Just because I think it's also like how I've been raised as well. I think I'm not too sure, but yeah, that's it really.
I think it's a good way to be.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Definitely.
I'm just going to take a second to welcome everyone who's joining because we're having loads of people join. Ants England, I see you've joined. Just going back because I saw we got up to like 10 people at one point. We got 9 people. But yeah, hello everyone who's joining us. Welcome to the Ant Chat picnic table. So question 2. Oh, I am just going to address one thing as well. Ants heard. I couldn't find a vest, so believe it or not, I just had to chuck a hoodie on over the top of nothing. Yeah. Right, so question 2.
Yeah.
Who would you say inspires you, or who or what would you say inspires you the most in your builds?
Who? Oh, like other YouTubers.
Other YouTubers or nature or what? What kind of what gives you your inspiration?
Yeah,
because your builds are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think nature always helps. Sort of actually going out there and seeing how it is. I think that always helps massively. But I think like a lot of inspiration also comes from other channels. You can see someone doing something, and then you kind of have your own idea of how you want to put your own spin on things. Obviously, I haven't really seen anything built, like the paludarium. That was kind of something I captured in nature. I was taking a walk along the beach. I looked out to sea, and there was like this little island, with plants on it, and it looked really nice. And it was like, no one's ever been there. It was like untouched. And I thought to myself, it'd be cool to have a tank like that with ants on that island, and that's where the inspiration came from. And so I think like nature does help. But I have some YouTubers who I follow, obviously the likes of Serpent Design. I follow MD, although his is based around fish tanks, all around fish tanks. He does ripariums, paludariums, those types of things. But it's more like the way he lays things out. He kind of gets it right every time. And I think it helps with, when you go to do something, it helps with sort of putting it together because you might have seen something similar. But I think most inspiration comes from outside. But you do get a lot from other YouTubers as well, other content creators, and not just those. There's like obviously a lot that I can't remember the names of, but I still follow them and watch the uploads regularly. I can't remember. It was Ferret Wonderland or something like that. I can't remember what every build he has. He features like a ferret at the start, and I know it sounds daft, but his builds are honestly so beautiful. I get a lot from him, but I think it's not just that. I think the practicality of how you put things together, getting ways to do it differently, making it easier for yourself as well. It all helps. You look at something and think, oh my gosh, that's all they did to do that. And it seems like at the time it's impossible. When you watch it, you're like, oh my God, I can do that now. I know exactly how to do it. And then that gives you then more ideas because you can think, I can do that, but I can do it this way. So I think, both are equally as important as another. But I think like being out in nature, there's nothing more refreshing than going out in nature and actually, seeing it for yourself and trying to mirror what you've seen. So,
yeah, definitely. I kind of agree with that. A lot of what I kind of do is based around what I've seen in nature. I mean, I even did back at the early days of my channel just for fun. I didn't even stick ants in it. I did a bioactive build where it was shaped on Portland, the island that I live on. And it looked all right. I did sand instead of the water and done the causeway. Yeah, it looked all right, but I never used it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. You'll have to send me a photo of that. I'm not sure if I've seen it, but you'll have to send me a photo.
It's on my channel. I think I'll find it out for you. So next question: what is your favorite ant colony or other thing that you own? Basically, what's your favourite thing that you own? That's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, gosh. I also don't want to say it out loud in case they all hear, you know.
Yeah.
But no, that is tough because you know you kind of start to love like everything for their own reasons, I guess. Even the colonies. I've recently got 2 new colonies which I'll be doing videos on, so I won't go into too much detail. Those ones are really cool. A bit more shy than what I'm used to in terms of like ants. But gosh, I really don't know. I guess I love my millipedes, my giant African millipedes. I love those. I think the reason I like them so much is because they're actually not as shy as everyone thinks. So whenever you bring the tank down, they'll always be at the surface. They'll start climbing the big branches coming up. You can just put your hand out and they'll climb straight onto you. And I think they enjoy that side of it because obviously whenever I'm spraying it, I'm feeding them too. So they know new food's arriving. I think they get like quite excited about it. So I love them. But then I love my morning gecko just because I've called him Mushy. He's so cute. Absolutely love him. He's always out as well. And yeah, I think it's tough. I couldn't say. I like them all for different reasons. But if I had to say, obviously, though, you get more personality out of those, but then you get personality out of the Ruganoidis as well, as stupid as it seems. But they have personality and they're very in your face as a species, and I absolutely love that about them. You never know what they're going to get up to. They're mischievous, but I'd rather have it like that than a colony you'd never really see, like Flavis or something like that. So, so I've got Flavis. I've had Niger are always out as well. But yeah, I'd say equally I love them all the same. I can't for different reasons, but I can't physically pin my mind on one that I'd say I like this the most. I have my favourite build, which is probably my Paludarium. Other than that, I mean, yeah. So
that's fair. We've got a question from Ant's Hood. What is your favourite ant? That's a hard one.
Yeah, and I think there's similar reasons, but I like the fast-growing species. I actually absolutely love Macromatogaster, just because they're so rapid, rapid growth. They're cheeky as well, and they do keep you on your toes, which you'll see on that video. I love the trapjaws though, just because of how intimidating they look.
Yeah.
They do look like a scary ant, if you. But I'd probably say out of them all, that I own, probably Macromatogaster. But I want, is it Venatus, Harpegnathos? If I'm saying it right, I'm probably saying it right. I always get the Latin name wrong, but yeah. Solenopsis geminata though, and so that's absolutely crazy. No, because if you see the problem I have with Macromatogaster, moving between builds is going to cause me problems. But yeah, I think it would be an awesome species to have. But for me, obviously, it's all Harpegnathos venata. That's the one. Thanks, Wakushi. But they're the next ones I want to keep. I've got like a tank ready for them. I've got the setup in mind I want for them. But they're the next ones I really want to keep. But no, I appreciate that. I feel like there would be really fun, cool species to keep. But for me, I just wouldn't risk it because I know that I haven't got enough space because I've already got enough space for everything set now. I just need to get around to building them. And I know I'll have to keep upgrading them. And for me, making a nice tank look nice, that's the whole purpose of the channel. This also to mirror it, but then Solenopsis are just going to absolutely tear that apart. It'll get to the point where I make it all nice and then they just tear the soil up. The root systems are messed up and the plants don't grow and everything will eventually die off. So to me, it's kind of pointless putting it all together. Just for them to all to wreck it. So I don't think I would keep that species for that. That's one of the main reasons anyway. But mainly because I know I wouldn't be able to keep up the growth. I've got obviously these in quite a big cube tank now, the Chromatogaster. like a huge cork piece, and they're doing fine. I know they'll be fine for, a few years to come. But when they do start to reach like 4,000 or 5,000, even then I'm going to have to think about upgrading that to something else, because they've grown fast in this last year, like 7 workers to 500-600 workers. So I just need to think about things like that as well, expansions and growth on animals you keep too. But
yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, anytime I buy a colony or buy anything, I always think, how much space is it going to need? Not how much space does it need now, it's how much it's going to need in the future.
exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because there's so many people get the colonies and then they get massive and then they just can't handle it anymore. I like to make sure I've got like a spare shelf next to the shelf of anything that I've put a colony on, if you know what I mean. So there's space to expand it all the time, I think that's really important. We've got so many people joining. Is your Chromatogaster queen still on the loose?
No, she's back now. Thank the Lord. Honestly, yeah, she's back now. So it was the other day, yesterday, I looked in the tank, and where I've got one of the heat mats at the back, they normally bring brood and things there to obviously spur them on, and the queen was with them. So it was a good sign. I know, ultimately she shouldn't be out the cork piece, but to me, I thought, well, she's out. The colony's growing in population. They're all over that tank now. So while she's there, just leave it be. And I think that we were saying about this before, that sometimes you can like overfuss them and make it worse, whereas sometimes you just need to leave them be, let them do their own thing, and they'll normally work out work everything out themselves. So I've just left them be, and everything's going good now. So
hardest part of ant keeping is just doing nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, literally, that's it. Patience. So, definitely.
So next question, have you got any big plans for the future of your channel?
Yes, so I've got a few things now. It's a little bit messy. I'd like to show you what things I've got around here, but I can't really. You're just going to think it's an absolute mess. But I've got a tank here, which is a 30cm cube Exoterra for a praying mantis. I've got a tank there for my venators. Another tank where I'm building one for geckos or potentially like salamanders, something like that, which is quite a long tank, but it's not that deep. So I'll build like a river creek or something. I've got another tank here to my right, which is like a 60cm by 60 cube, which is going to be for my crested gecko. I've got another one here, which is for my dart frogs. I've got a tank down there, which is for my leopard gecko. I'm going to be getting a leopard gecko, but that's probably like next year now. And then I've got another tank which I don't know yet, so that's going to be like one of the off ones where I might do like a vote and like you guys or the people on the channel sort of vote what they want me to keep. But that one's like a 45cm cube Exoterra as well. But yeah, I've got quite a few things ready and builds. Obviously, I've got loads of terrariums, candle jars that I've kept, coffee jars for mini terrarium build videos, which I like doing as well. They're quite good fun. Things like this everywhere where I'll glue some cocoa fiber to a candle jar, and then I'll be like, I'll get around to that in a few weeks. And then I just forget about it, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can make that now, but I've got quite a few things planned, for the channel. So hopefully, you guys like it as well. And obviously, the regular updates on videos as well, and certain colonies as well. Yeah, we are definitely very messy, Kevin. You're right.
Yeah, I won't even go into the mess around mine. It's ridiculous.
Honestly, anyway, it's just a mess around me. Like, there's actually a plate near me because I was chopping up fruit earlier for like my colonies, millipedes, things like that. So there's just a random plate with a few bits of food on, but it's for all my colonies and creatures, isopods, things like that. But I was chopping up like bananas and apples and things. I'll sort it out there.
I've got a brilliant question here. What are a good species of isopod to keep for a starter, like a beginner species?
I would definitely say Porcellio scaber. Whether it's Levis, powder orange, powder blue, But Porcellio scaber, they're really good in humid tanks. They're really good even if there's, you go through periods of it being fairly dry. They're just prolific. They breed like crazy. It'll actually probably get to the point where you have too many of them. But no, they're super fun. I'll type in and try to say how do you spell it. So Porcellio scaber. There we go. Porcellio scaber. But yeah, they're really, really cool. They're really cheeky as well. They'll always be out. I've got some tropical orange. The giant tropical oranges. I barely see them, and they've been in the tank the same amount of time. So I think something like the tropical greys, you'll always see them. They're not the best looking. They're just like your isopods you probably see in your garden. But if you're wanting to see isopods on the surface too, with everything else, then they are definitely the species you want to keep alongside everything. Just because they're so prolific, they're cheeky. They'll be trying to take food from the ants. They'll be they'll try and get more attention from you than anything else, and that's what I love about them. So they are super fun species to keep. Even your tropical, even your dwarf whites as well. Those are quite cheeky, a lot cheekier than you'd think. But they're very nervous. So if you move something, they'll all shut down back underground and things. Whereas Porcellio just aren't bothered. They don't really care. They're always in your face, and they just don't care at all. So but definitely those Porcellio scaber. You can get different ones, dairy cows or lava, things like that. But the
dairy cows are cool.
The best.
Have you got I am going to move my camera over to the tank in a second just to show off my tank whilst we're chatting. But have you got any tips on setting up the enclosure for isopods?
Yes. My tip would be, don't worry about taking soil from outside. If it's a tank you're keeping isopods in, then ultimately don't worry about taking some soil from outside just to get it going. The reason I say that is just you get the best nutrition for them outside. The bacteria in the soil is always built up to the point where you never have to worry about mold outbreaks. Although that's beneficial, to the ants, the best thing you can do is add activated charcoal in the bottom layer, because that inhibits mold growth anyway. So they'll go down and eat that. So will the springtails. But the best thing I can say is try and source as much stuff as you can from outside, because it contains so much beneficial bacteria that it helps break things down in the soil so well that, it just goes a long, long way. If you're worried about pests, then don't be worried. Normally, if you're taking a few things from nature, there's always a yin and yang. They'll balance each other out anyway. I've never had a problem with it. And, touch wood, I haven't, with parasitic mites, things like that. I've only ever got beneficial mites. They're the whites, the reds. So I just wouldn't worry about it too much. If you are worried, then you can obviously put the soil on a baking tray and put it in the oven for half an hour, things like that. But then you're going to kill a lot of that good bacteria, but then you will replace it with some organic matter that you will naturally get from the soil. So that'll work out, but then you've lost all the beneficial bacteria that, it's took years in nature to build. So I'd always say just try your best to, just do it that way. And also, you normally get cool things as well. You get other little critters in there, alongside your isopods, which are just as fascinating as keeping isopods anyway. But I'd say that's the best thing to do. Just get soil from outside. Leaf litter, if you are worried about leaf litter, the best thing to do is by sterilize, I just mean boil all of your leaf litter inside a pan. Once you finish with that pan, the water you get, let it cool, let it dry, and then the first big watering you do, with that setup, spray it all down with the water you've boiled the leaves in, because again, then you'll gain some things back, like natural antibacterial inside the water. It actually helps stabilize pH, things like that. So using that water that you just let sort of boil and then cool down, put that back into it, the day after once it's cool, and it actually benefits everything inside it anyway. So I'd definitely do that too. But leaf litter you can collect anyway and just boil it, and it's not really a worry with leaf litter, because you can just collect it all the time. But I'd say for the best bacteria is just get soil from outside, and go into your garden, just dig a hole, take as much soil as you can and try and replace it, and it's as easy as that. And then you've got all that beneficial bacteria ready, and you shouldn't get out mold outbreaks. Exactly, it's exactly the same. I've got Indian almond leaves. But the leaves from outside works just as good. And then you don't have to pay for them as well. I paid for the Indian apple. Whereas if you go outside, just get them yourself, use that afterwards. It's just as good. So I definitely say do something like that as well.
Yeah.
Also, isopods, try and increase humidity as much as you can at first, even just for the first few weeks. By cling film wrapping the top as well if you can, by poking a few holes in the cling film, and just try and keep it as humid as possible, especially while like moss is setting in, plants are setting in, things like that. And you'll always, it'll always benefit you anyway in the long run. And then remove it, after a few weeks, a month or so once it's established, and you should never really have problems with mold, nothing. But I always do that as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Right. Next question on the list. You actually just answered the question. It was, do you prefer to get mosses from outside or buy them? So definitely, I always try and I buy them, but I buy them from a particular supplier who basically just has really, really good quality, but they've still got the bugs and stuff in. It's just literally, you've just got a really great spot for it. I know there's no pesticides or anything like that being used, and it's just great quality, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's it. I think it doesn't really matter, regardless of where you get your moss from. They're always going to have hitchhikers. So I think it's like that with anything. You're always going to have some slugs, some snails, some mites. There's always going to be some hitchhikers on moss. Even sometimes you get like honey spiders and things, but it's absolutely fine. The isopods breed too fast for worry about anything. But I'd definitely say, I can't justify paying for moss when I know I can take a walk in the woods and get like bags and bags full of it as well. I'd never really pay for moss. I think I have, but not paid. But I got it like free with a package of like bioactive stuff, and that was it. That's the only time I ever got it from like someone else. But it was like a freebie thrown in. But I'd always just go out and get the moss myself. You do get a lot of beneficial things alongside just the moss too. Whatever you do. Percentage of humidity and heat as well, Dean said. To be honest, mine's always running at 99% humidity. It's not really, but I just keep it humid to the point where if you have got your lid on and you're getting condensation on the front of the glass, to the back sides, everywhere, then you're all right. I know it's harder to see in the front, but at first you're only doing that temporarily. Once you've got your own proper lid, you might have made yourself. In fact, I'll try and show you what I did with my lid. Just 1 second. It might be easier. So can I switch it here? Yeah. Okay, cool. So this lid was just an acrylic cut. Cut it to the size. It's actually slightly longer. Now just drilled some holes in all the way around. There, middle or left, and then at the back end. And it's as easy as that. That's but I keep it as I don't worry about humidity. I don't have a reader on there. But you can just gauge it eventually yourself just by looking at it to how humid it'll be. I mean, I can just look at it and know if it's too humid, things like that. So but yeah, it'll get to that point. The main indicator for me is like drainage layer. Just check your drainage layer. If that's got some water in there, you're all right. If it's looking empty, just give it a nice spray down till you top that up by another centimetre or so, and it'll be absolutely fine. But that's what I do.
I'm just changing cameras back. I will be.
And heat for isopods, you don't really need to heat it at all. Room temperature is fine, unless it's something like a Cubaris species, which are a lot more picky and harder to keep. But other than that, your Porcellio, just room temperature is absolutely fine.
Yeah. I mean, they do like a little bit of heat.
They do like it. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Like anything, really, a bit of heat will speed up growth. That's kind of natural.
Yeah.
Right. Next question. How many ant colonies do you currently have?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in total now. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7.
Okay, that's fair. Do you name them all? Is the second part to that, because we know you've got what do you call them? The
first
order.
Yeah. So that was like a vote thing on my channel. I haven't actually done that for the future ones, or like my Chromatogaster. So that's something I will have to do. Actually, I'll have to post a video and just say I need votes in this bit here. But it would be cool to have a name for them, because for me, it's I think it's more personal as well. I just mean that people can go back to. I guess it's kind of like controversial, but like AC did, the Fire Nation and all that. I always thought it was a really good idea. It adds a little bit more, and helps people in the community like vote for that. Obviously, the first order was a vote from, I think it was King's Aquariums and Ants World. To be fair, he sort of stopped with videos as much, but yeah, no, he named it, and kept that name all the way through, because he named it. I said we'd name it, and that's the name. So it's easy as that, really. But yeah, I will have to start naming them. I think, especially like my Chromatogaster now, they're quite established. But for me, it's always like getting them to out of that stage where the set now. You don't have to really worry about them anymore, and then name them, because obviously I don't want them to name them and then be like, oh, they're dead now. Oh well, So it's getting them past the founding stage, the early stages, where you don't have to worry about anything. So because I always get super attached to everything anyway. So I don't want to name something that I have to say goodbye to. It's weird that sounds, but it's true. It's just one of them things.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I only really named mine because I was getting multiple colonies of the same species. So to tell them apart, I was calling like the Red Army and the Shaolin were both Mima Karuba, just to tell the difference between the two colonies.
Yeah. Put my phone on charge. Sorry.
Oh no, you carry on, buddy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
Have you got a dream species to keep?
To be honest, it was my trap jaws. There's a few species I'd still love to keep. Venator, I'd really, really want them. Leaf cutters, I'd love leaf cutters. I just don't know, I don't have the space. But they're all like dream species I'd love to keep. But obviously I haven't got them yet. So, but my trap jaws were always like my number one species that I really wanted. And I was lucky enough. Wakushi, if he's still here, Wakushi ended up getting them for me. Absolute legends. The only thing I'd say about my trap jaw, I wish they'd develop quicker, because I'm going to be doing an update video in the next coming weeks on this tank, and it's been like it's been ages. But for the first 2 or 3 months, I was just letting it get established before I added them in. I've added them in now. They've been in for about 2 or 3, no, probably about 3 or 4 months. And, I haven't really seen loads more workers on the surface. I've been feeding them. They're taking the food. I see them more like on a morning, I'll turn the lights on, and there'll be some eating some like mealworm or dragging a mealworm. And then, I don't see it again until like the following night or the next morning. But it's normally like, when I'm turning things off or I'm having a quick look now and then, I'll see them out and, trying to hunt and things. But I don't see them as much as I'd love to see them. But I think the difficulty I had with them is that I found one of them in the water section, just dead. So then I added some floating plants to the tank, which has literally just covered the whole surface now. But then obviously that compromises like the whole, purpose of having a water moat and, keeping them out that way. So, they can climb, they can't climb glass, which is lucky. But other than that, like, I just hope that now all them floating plants will keep them okay, and I'll start to see more. But the update will still be there. I'd like to show more footage of the trap jaws, but unfortunately it'll be more footage of the development of the tank, the plants, a few changes, tweaks I've made, and that'll be about it really for the video. It's only going to be about 10 minutes long, despite it being so long. In time frame, it's been ages, but not as much content as I'd liked. But they're definitely my favourite, the trap jaws. Definitely.
Yeah, that's where they are really cool. In fact, are they? Did they work on a gamma gate system?
I thought they did, but I believe these ones actually don't.
Oh,
No, I don't think these ones do. I don't think they do, because I think the way they work is the like the weakest of the workers actually is the ones who go out and forage. But
right, yeah.
but the I don't think they do work on a gamma gate system. They might.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong as well.
Mukufi's just said no, they are not
No,
gamma.
yeah, I was going to say I don't think they are,
Oh,
because
right.
you can tell that there's a queen is obviously
Yeah.
bigger than the workers, with the scars. So yeah, I just think queens have enough juice.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to say I don't think they do. I don't think they're one of those
Fair
species.
enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. I wasn't sure. I thought they were.
yeah, no, it's but yeah, the queens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Amber Phoenix. What species would be most suitable for creating a kids' ant farm?
Oh, something easy like, I mean, is that for me or for you as well? What would you say? You probably know what I'm going to say. So
Probably Lasius niger to start with, or
yeah,
Messers. Yeah. Messers
yeah,
are more interesting, but they just require that little bit more care.
yeah. I was going to
Yeah.
say the same, Niger or Messer barbarus, just because they don't sting you, which is always a plus.
Yeah.
The worst thing they can do really is run around if if anything goes
Tickle
wrong.
you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. So I'd say Niger, because they grow enough as well to see the growth. They explore. They're not shy enough to physically be out and
Yeah.
actually see them, because a lot of species you'll barely see them from time to time. You might see them now and then. But other than that, yeah, I'd definitely say Niger or Messer. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm just going to throw it in there with creating a kids ant farm. It's no different to creating an adult ant farm or anything like that. We still go through the same stages of
Yeah.
keeping them in a test tube, staying away from the gel ant farms, and getting proper equipment at the right times for the growth of the colony.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I'd want to throw that one in there. I do have a video. I can link it in the description as well of what to do when you first get your ants, just to help you out there, Amber Phoenix. Dean is asking, what is a gamma gate? Do you want to explain, Ryan?
I'm gonna let you explain that. You've been keeping a lot longer than me.
Yeah, all right.
I'll pass that back to you. I'll just backheel that back to you, mate.
Right, okay. So gamma gates, they don't necessarily have a queen or a queen cast. It is the most dominant worker. They basically have a little battle with their antenna. They decide who's the most dominant worker, and that one will then go and mate with the males. Once it's impregnated, it will then be the one that lays fertile eggs. All the workers are born with the ability to produce eggs, but they're not fertile until they get mated with. But the gamma gate will go round and basically castrate every worker at birth to stop them from being able to produce eggs. Then when the gamma gate dies, they will have a little vessel again, and yeah, they work out a new gamma gate. But it's a really annoying thing because you can't really tell if the gamma gate dies. That's the
Yeah,
hard part,
true.
you know what I mean?
True,
Because
yeah.
like with my bullet ants, they're underground. I will never see the colony, like the actual nest of the colony. So I'm not going to know if they've got eggs or larvae or whatever. I'm just gonna, they'll stop taking protein eventually, is my guess, and that's how I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
By which point it's probably too late to add in a male, but we'll see. We'll see. Right, we've got a few more questions. I'm just going back. Any special protein sources for your ants? Do you use any special protein sources for your ants, or what do you feed your ants? It's a good question.
Mainly mealworms, superworms, mealworms, crickets, locusts, anything really. Whenever I go to like my shop near me, if I'm not using my feeder tub, I'll always just get like a mix of things, flightless fruit flies to huge locusts, to cockroaches. And I'll just change it now and then. Every time I go, every few weeks, I'll just change it. So they've got like a variety of food and they don't get bored of the the same stuff. But I've always got mealworms on hand, so. But they're always the best. Mealworms are always like a good go-to. They're always gut filled. So,
Yeah. I mean, I breed Dubia roaches, Mario worms. I'm sure there's something else as well, but I've got loads of different things that I feed them all the time, and I'm always going down and getting like a pot of wax worms every couple of days because they love wax worms. Even though they're quite, they're a bit fatty, but they're still great protein. So and they're really soft, so easy for like the Nigers and the smaller ant species to get onto. And it's not always worth cutting up a roach. Like for the smaller colonies, a roach will do them like weeks and weeks and weeks. So there's just no point. Yeah. Wakushi, the worker. Yeah, thank you very much, Wakushi, for straightening that up. When the Gamma Gate dies, obviously all the new workers won't be castrated, so they'll be able to lay eggs which will turn into males because they're not fertile, which will be the signs that they.
Okay.
Yeah, but then
that's cool. It's fascinating.
So here's a question open to anyone to answer, even Wakushi. So are those males then able to mate with any of the workers, or are they genetically the same and they'll have to get a male from somewhere else, if that makes sense?
I guess it's kind of wolf pack, isn't it? Really, like who's the alpha, and then then I don't know, layman's. But I didn't know all of that. It's really fascinating, especially about the fact that they lay drones again, the drones, and see that determines. That's really cool.
Experiment where connected two nests via high access. The workers can. Oh yeah, I remember that. Did the AC thing work? They will. Okay.
I certainly never got an update on it.
Yeah, I remember he was doing that video. Like they said, they had two stacked units. The top stacked units were connected, and he had the barrier around the top of the first stack, so that the drones and the queens could fly, but the workers couldn't pass over. So I don't know if it actually worked. He never updated it. So it probably didn't work, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say it probably did. Yeah. Because if it did, I mean, he's going to be one of them people to obviously boast about it, isn't he? So,
yeah. I think I was considering how it would be done. I doubt I'll ever get around to doing it. I think you'd need a massive room, like a massive netted enclosure, and basically just have the colonies open so that they can fly and do their thing, and then you can just like scoop them off the ground with a shovel. But that's the only thing I could come up with. Quite a hard thing. Yeah, much easier using
the colonies. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we've got
Discovery Coal. So I'm just catching up on chat now.
No, it's fine. I was just having a look there, making sure I didn't miss anything. That's we've got like the longest charge in the world from like the Walby Army all the way to over here. So
mine's about that big. It's quite irritating. But we won't go into length of charges.
Needs another male from another colony. Yeah. Within the nest. Okay. So Answer's saying you'd probably need a male from another colony.
Yeah.
So within the nest.
I kind of sorted that problem already. I started a little Facebook group of people who own Gamma Gate colonies, so that we can swap drones between ourselves really easily.
Oh, that's a mint idea. That's class.
Yeah. I mean, there's only about 4 or 5 of us in the group at the minute, but you know what I mean? That way we can just say, I need a Diacama drone or whatever, and someone go, I've got one. Yeah, hopefully it might work.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it just weeds it out of the like billions of ant keepers to the ones with Gamma Gate keepers, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I've actually ran out of questions down here. So is there any more questions for AntScapes before we start to wrap it up? We've currently got 10 people viewing, it says, so that's pretty impressive. It must be the fact that you're on here, Ryan. I don't normally get that many people on.
I don't know. I barely get that many, mate. So don't worry. I've only just started doing lives as well, so.
Yeah. Are you enjoying doing lives?
I am actually, mate. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I think I mentioned before. It's like sometimes it's a lot easier to just get on a live and chat with people. Obviously, it's more personal anyway, but to do that as opposed to sitting down and making content and then editing the videos, because me going from never doing any editing to like having to start to edit videos, like it's always been like a huge learning curve anyway. And I mean, I enjoy the hobby, enjoy all that, but there's one thing I don't enjoy, and that's editing. So that thing, like it's nice to sometimes to just sit to chat with people. Sorry, stand and chat. 'Cause I'm not sat. Stand and just chat with people about it, and it's a lot easier and it's more personal as well. So I do prefer it that way sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. It's more natural, and you can just chat and chat. I mean, I spent 3 days editing a video a week or so ago. It's not even on the channel yet. It will be on the channel, but 3 days it took to like put it together and actually make it work. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it. Like I did an unboxing video from Micro Exotics. It did drop, but that video I remember I'd spent like the hour or two filming it, and then sort of making the setups, which was like another hour or two, and then I ended up like editing the whole video, sending links from the website, to the video. Did it honestly? I spent about another 4 hours on it, editing it, and then I uploaded it. But as I uploaded it, because I do all my editing, all my recording on my phone, I thought to myself, and I don't know why, I hit upload and I was like, "Phew!" Wiped my hands with that one, done. And I went into my photos and just like deleted them all. I thought I'll delete them. Check my YouTube, and it hadn't uploaded yet, and it failed. So I was like,
"Oh no!"
Go into like my iCloud on my iTunes store, go to my iCloud to make sure that the video is saved, and luckily it did. And then I had to, anyways, you can imagine it was like mad panic, and then I spent another hour. I couldn't upload it then. Then I had to wait till I got home. So I remember I finished at work. I finished at work, and then I was like, I'll quickly get it uploaded, and that's when I deleted it all. And then I had to go back in my clouds, obviously get the video, and then re-download it onto my phone, and then upload it again. It was just like an absolute nightmare. So like things like that, editing, and it just stresses me out, especially when I'd spent like 6 hours doing something, and then it was just like, waste. Time's limited as it is anyway. So
that's fair. Right, Hood, I don't want to ask that question simply because it's going to cause issues. Unless you want to answer it, Ryan. Are you fishing, Hood?
What you're getting next? Oh, sorry, from Hood. Okay.
Who's your favourite ant YouTuber?
Oh, Hood, why you got to do this, man? Why you got to do this?
Why is Hood your favourite ant YouTuber? Who do you like to watch the most? I'm going to say I haven't got a favourite ant YouTuber. I've got a few I don't like. Got quite a few I don't like and I don't watch, but I think, we're all creating quite brilliant content, really. I really like Ryan's, could you do the natural builds? I like the Colonialist. I like Hood. There's so many. Ants England. I can't even think, but
I was going to say,
KB's great.
Yeah, but I mean, while we're here, answering these questions, I guess we have to be honest about it. So, Ant Hollifer, it's one of the reasons people will know that I've got into my YouTube and things like that. So Ant Hollifer was one of the main reasons. But obviously, when I got into the community, it was obviously I got to the Hood, like I say, Colonialist, yourself, and there was a lot of people I started to follow too. And their videos were just as good for different reasons. I think the reason I liked Alex's so much was because his footage is always great. Like his his camera and things like that. The quality of his editing is so good. And I always wish that I could be that good at editing and have all that camera equipment to make my footage even better, but I don't. So like his videos are always really good for that, and he's just like such a nice guy. He's always so hyper. Like when he's talking about things, you can genuinely feel it in him, like the passion. And I think that breathes. I guess it's like positivity breathes positivity. Hold your videos I love because you're so straight to the point. Like you're so down to earth as a person. Videos are well edited. Your knowledge is like phenomenal. So I think that's why. But I think different people have YouTube channels that I like. I forgot the name of one, but he doesn't even talk on it. He has like a voiceover of like like a male voiceover. I can't remember the name. Colony, is it? Colony.
Yeah, Colony.
Some bioactive setups. I love his. I wish he'd talk. But I like his just because again he puts a lot of thought into his into his videos, what he's doing. What camera kit do you use? I don't use a camera kit. I literally just use my phone. Like this here, I do my editing, all my videoing, photos, everything on my phone. I don't have all that fancy equipment. I just don't, and maybe it's in the future, but yeah, different YouTubers for different reasons. I couldn't pick, but if I had to, I'd have to say Alex, just because he was one of the main reasons, that I got into the hobby. But yeah, then there's a few YouTubers I've recently met. I won't go into that subject, but yeah, there's a few people I've kind of gone off over time and things like that. But ultimately, I have to say Alex. I think. Sorry.
That's fair. So what are you planning to get next?
What? Sorry.
What are you planning to get next? What are you buying next?
My dart frogs. So I don't know the exact genus I'm getting, but the main thing is just making the setup. So I've got like one tank here, which is like my plant grow out tank at the moment. I've got another one here, which is the one I'm going to be using. But for me at this stage, it's literally just getting it sort of more ready for my dart frogs. I've got all the equipment now, actually, to be fair. I need a little bit more cork, and then I'm done with that. And then, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm good to go to build it. I've got a few designs in mind, but I'm not too sure which one I want to use. I normally draft like 2 or 3. But I'm always changing my mind as well, because, for dart frogs, obviously the humidity has to be it has to be 99% all the time.
Wow.
So I'm going to be building a little, like water section, but like a little pool at the front, which, is against the glass. I'll probably keep some shrimp in there, but that's about it. So I'm just putting like a lot of thought behind what I really want to do with it, also so I don't have to maintain it as much, because the one thing I enjoy about natural and bioactive as well is once you build it and, you keep it maintained for so long, it just maintains itself. And you obviously the whole point of bioactive, but all you have to do really is mist it down every, a couple of day or so, and then good. That's it. You just don't really have to worry about it after that, and that's what I like about them. So, but my dart frogs are definitely the next one. Then it'll be my gecko, my cresty, and then probably my mantis, probably my praying mantis after that. I'm saying my praying mantis like I have one already, but I don't. I know what praying mantis I want, what type of setup I want. I wanted an orchid mantis. So I'm going to be getting some like miniature orchids. I've got some orchid cuttings, things like that. So it's one of them things where I'll be putting the cuttings in. They aren't flowered yet, but I know eventually they will flower. And when it does, it'll get to that point where it's kind of more rewarding. I'd rather have it where I'm using cuttings as opposed to ones that from a shop where you just plonk them in, they've got flowers already. I feel like there's more sense of achievement if you use the the nodes, the cuttings from it, and then the flower themselves. So, but that's one of the ones as well. So. Yeah.
Okay. With the dart frogs, are they poisonous? Do you know much about them?
No, they're not poisonous. I mean, if they're bred in captivity, no. If they took from nature, they potentially can be. But the dart frogs themselves is a plant that they eat in nature. I forgot the name of the plant that actually physically gives them that poison. So unless they're in nature, in their own habitats, and they're eating that, then they won't be physically poisonous. People just say poison dart frogs because they are, but they don't contain that poison without eating the plant that they would naturally eat in nature. So
That's
I wouldn't recommend licking them though. But yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I don't know if you've seen that episode of Simpsons.
Simpsons,
Yeah.
Instantly
But,
made me think of that.
yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Cold Patrick, that doesn't sound good at all. I've never heard of that ant store at all. Move my ant store. No, never heard of it.
God. Move them ant store. No.
No.
Never heard of them either. That seems really dodgy. That's a shame, man. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry about that.
That is, that is a little shame.
Hello, Leah. Hello. Welcome.
Yeah, see, I tend to stick with the same sort of suppliers for my ants. I mean, it might be really sad of me, to be honest, sticking with the same ones, but I've got the ones that I know I trust. Ant Lady being for one. I can't even think now. Ant Davy, you know, the standard ones that we've got a list of and we know are good. I don't ever bother going to all the random ones, even if they say they've got the best colony in the world and it's cheap as chips. I wouldn't bother with them.
Yeah. Normally, if they're telling you the cheapest chips, it's somewhere to avoid.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when a takeaway shop's called Best Pizzas, you think,
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best pizzas.
It's definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
Right,
Yeah, definitely.
Unusual Pets. Hello, how are you doing? Alex Hayward, hello. And send me that list up. Yeah, I will send you that list, Dean. I think there's also a video on my channel of I think it's top 5 or top 6 recommended ant sellers in the UK for us, and it's like the Ant Lady, Best Ants UK. I can't remember who else is on there right now.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, Dean, as well. If you go on my descriptions in my videos as well, there's like some discount codes for some stores. Wakushi, who's here, being one of them. You know, Ants HQ as well, if you want to notice and things like that. But yeah, just check Tom's, and then if you need some discount codes, check my descriptions. They're in all of my descriptions now. I spent a painstaking hour going through them all and putting them all on there and changing them all up. So they're on them all. But
so I did do that for a while, just like my recommended sellers, and then I had a link to the Ant Holifer show. Can you remember that Ant Holifer show that he did?
Yeah.
He was introducing all the different YouTubers. I thought that was really cool what he did, and the way he put it together in his little suit and whatnot. And
yeah, it was classic. It was really
really well done. I enjoyed that one. So I used to put that link in. I think even the link might be in that top sellers video. I'm not sure, but I put it into like loads of random things. Hey AntScapes, how much trouble have you had with mites from using natural fauna? That's a good question.
It's a good question. To be honest, absolutely none. I might have been lucky, but absolutely none, to be honest. I think I was explaining earlier, if you're ever getting things in nature, you know, it's like, for example, you'll have a nettle, then you'll have a dock leaf right near it. You'll always find dock leaves very close. So if you are gathering things in nature as well, grab a few things. And you normally find if you've got, you know, parasitic mites, you'll have predatory mites really close by. So just gather as much stuff as you can. I've never physically had problems with them. You know, again, touch wood. I'm probably going to have all the problems in the world now, and I said that. But no, I've never had a problem with it. And it's mainly because, you know, and I have seen different species of mites in the soil, especially when I'm doing like my close-ups and my feeding. You see the red mites around, you see the soil mites there, even some parasitic mites I've actually seen at some points, but you never see them on the ants. So they must have balanced out. They must have, you know, been killed off by predatory mites. But I've never had a problem with it. I'd just say if you are worried about that and you're getting things from outside like the soil, you can, as mentioned, you can put it in the oven. Although you will lose a lot of the beneficial bacteria from it. Before you add the new, how long do you have it set up before you add the new ants? So I always have it running for about 3-4 weeks minimum. Minimum. As much as it painstaking me to not add them in straight away, I'll always have it running for like 3-4 weeks at least before I add anything in. And that's by taking stock as well. So if you're seeing certain mold spots, the main one you'll see is like it looks like cotton wool. That's the first bit of mold you'll see. But that'll all go after a couple of weeks. As long as you've got Springtails, Isopods in there, they'll eat it all up, and they'll obviously produce massively in that time period as well. But yeah, I've never had problems with it. But I think the main thing is just leaving the setup itself for like 3-4 weeks to establish. It's like a fish tank. You don't get a fish tank, set it up, and then just chuck 100 fish in there. Even if it was a 500-litre aquarium, you would still, take your time. Maybe it's wait 2 weeks, you get a show of 10, another 2 weeks, another 10, etc. And it's the same thing in the sense that if you're adding your Springtails and your Isopods, then just leave it. Everything else will do its own thing. You're forgetting that Springtails are going to be pooping in the soil, Isopods are going to be pooping in the soil, which are all going to be building up bacteria, but also you'll have a crash of ammonia, things like that. So just let it be. That famous artist who made that song, Let It Be. I forgot who it is, but yeah, just leave it for a few weeks and it'll be fine after that. Just take stock of it and check that there's no mold in places and things, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing I didn't have the chance to do with the multi-species tank because of the way I built it. I had to build the old tank into the new tank whilst I was building it, so I didn't get that chance, and I had to put in a lot of Springtails because you always get that initial mold, but I didn't want it to spread throughout and destroy what was already there. So I had to put in an awful lot of Springtails, like 3/4 of my entire culture or something like that. Like I had a lot of Springtails go into that.
Yeah.
And that was like you say, it's not ideal because you're just putting too much stock in at the start. I'm trying to control an outbreak that shouldn't need controlling.
Yeah,
I know what I'm trying to say.
no, it makes sense. You're absolutely right as well. And even even sometimes adding too many Springtails in can sometimes be bad because they'll produce too much so much that they can actually eat again. And because then one of the main things as well is the actual bacteria in the soil. I forgot the name of a certain mold. It's not mold. It's a fungus, like fungus soil. I've got the mix, but anyway, there's certain soils you can buy where they contain different funguses which actually work alongside the roots, but then those funguses can actually physically affect some creatures. So then you wouldn't necessarily add it. But anyway, I'm too sad and do loads of research into all this stuff. But there's basically one where they kind of grow off roots off of the roots, but it's not actual plant roots, it's fungus, but they're part of the plant. They'll become part of the plant, and they take other things out. But basically, you can't do that with all critters. But yeah, I'll be back in a bit. We'll see you shortly, Leah. It took me 3 months to cycle my pond. Yeah, so Kevin, it's one of them things. They do take a long time. You have to make sure it's perfect. Testing it. You do like water test kits. You have water test kits as well with aquariums. The difficulty you have with terrariums is you can't test the soil. You can't just stick something in and say, the pH is this, ammonia is this, nitrates. Even if you're trying to add fertilizers, there's not really an easy way to say, we need to add some NPK, we need to add macro elements, minor elements. It's just you can't do any of that, but you can measure it in aquarium test kits. And if there is actually soil test kits, that'd be good to know if there is, because I've never seen any. But yeah, so I'd always say just take your time.
Yeah. Ant Ramblings is asking, can Dubia roaches be used instead of isopods as a cleanup crew?
I mean, I wouldn't personally use them, just because roaches will eat everything and anything, including your plants probably, and moss will destroy. I'd say no. Just
because the size as well, to be honest, they're massive.
Yeah, and they're strong. They're huge. They're shielded. They're not exactly easy things to kill or take down. For other things. But I would say no. Not with ants anyway. And you don't know how aggressive they'll be towards the ants. I can imagine roaches being opportunists. They would probably try and steal some broods. I think they would. And it's depending whether the colony is big enough to physically fight them off. I know something like bullet ants would probably be fine against them, you know, trap jaws and things like that. But even then, it's still, it's still.
It's still pretty brutal. Like I put a Dubia roach in for the bullet ants last night, half killed already, and it still fought back for about an hour, either being stung repeatedly.
Yeah,
It really surprised me. Sometimes they stay alive a lot longer than I thought they were going to, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
I think there's that video I did where I boiled the roach. I didn't do it like Ants Canada, where you know you just fed it live, because it still releases egg sac. Luckily, because I boiled it, those little roaches didn't run out everywhere. It was just the case of they were already dead, but the twitch that long, and they still like kick out an egg sac. It absolutely baffles my brain. But yeah, I would definitely say, like, you know, keep the isopods.
Stick to isopods. Just easier, isn't it? What do you feed your springtail culture? I personally feed mine on, what did they call them? Fish flakes. They work really well. Good. Yeah. And then when you spray them with water, about a day later, you just get like a big ball of mold, basically, and they eat that down. The other thing I was using was rice, dry rice. But
right, I was going to say that's what I was using, rice as well. Rice is good. Fish flakes, I wouldn't say that. Fish flakes, rice, even, you know, bits of moss from outside if you want to, or like even plants if you've got any house plants. If you're ever doing a trim on them, trim them and then chop them into little pieces and put them in as well. All these little things, because they'll break down and they'll eat it. So, and potato as well. They absolutely love potato and grapes. I've noticed. So if you have grapes, chop a grape in half, just chop one half in or something. They don't need loads. But again, it's similar to the fish flakes. They'll mold up and then they'll eat all of the mold, and soon you'll have like an absolutely booming colony of springtails in there.
Do you culture yours on carbon or soil, or how do you do yours?
I just in my breeder tub. So I've got a tub which is like half full with soil. I keep all sorts of things in there, my mealworms to, you know, other things, feeder insects. But yeah, I just literally, whenever I'm doing a trim, if I've got too many excess plants, I'll chuck all of those in the feeder tub. Every now and then I'll chuck in, you know, like an apple core if I'm eating an apple, chuck it in, grapes, things like that. And, you know, they do absolutely fine. So if I'm ever making a setup, what I'll do is I'll just take like a little bit from that, put it into a plastic tub and tip that straight in to like the new builds. The reason I do that is because then the soil I've got there, it's more mature, so instantly you're adding good bacteria into the setup, and you know, potential mites, things like that you know, help the soil as well. So I just have that feeder tub, to be honest. If you look at I did like a top tips video on millipedes, and I show the feeder tub, and you'll see on there like the amount of springtails, you know, like it's absolutely mental. It's to the point where like it just all looks white moving around. Honestly, it's nuts. It's because it's closed off and it's so humid in there. But they absolutely love it in there. So I just use that if I ever need to use any more.
Kevin Rogerson's saying that he's Googled it and they do have soil test kits.
Ah, okay.
So we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I wonder how. Yeah, okay. Sounds like something that'd be expensive, mind. So, yeah, definitely.
See, I've never even tested the water in my pond. I'm part of a group of vampire crab keepers, and they're all like, "Oh, it needs to be this and that," and I've never even tested it. Never had any issues.
It's been running a while. I think it'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah. Do you test yours?
No, like in there, I've never tested it in my Ruganotis. My paludarium behind me, I tested it at first. Oops, just realised I unplugged my charger and I'm going to die. But no, I tested it at first for the first couple of weeks. But after that, that was pretty much it. I didn't really worry about it once it's established, because now all my plants in that setup, you know, all the roots are into the water section, which is going to be taking more rubbish out. It's got that many floating plants, and floating plants are just the best for taking anything out of like the water's column. I don't even get algae on the glass now. Literally, like in the run, I run the lights 10 hours a day. You know, 2 LED strips. So I just don't get it now. But at first I did like religiously, especially because they were chucking so much soil in the water section as well at first. Sorry, one sec. I'm just going to get really close here. Oh, there we go. Sorry, my charger dropped behind my stand there.
So
There we go. We're back.
So good. Fair enough. I wasn't sure if your island paludarium like needs constant cleaning or like constant checking.
No. I think at first the difficulty I had with it was the filter wasn't good enough. So sorry, I'm just going to get this stood up again. The filter wasn't good enough, so what I ended up doing was just changing it for a big external filter, and that's actually fine. But yeah, at first it was to the point where I was having to like clean the filter every 2-3 weeks, some points every week, because it would actually get that much stuff clogged into the filter. It would completely slow down, obviously, and then it was making a horrible noise, and I was like, I can't come in this room where it's supposed to be like nice and peaceful, just hear water, and all I hear was this filter just churning away. So I ended up obviously getting a filter that was literally like, 10 times better than what it needed to be, which I'm glad for, because even that slowed down because they're obviously dumping soil in the water. I've got a nice shoal of fish in there now, which I kept off for a long time. But I've got I only got neon tetras, but I've got like a nice 30 shoal in there. And they just like look absolutely beautiful. I did want something different, but you can never go wrong with neon tetra. And they're always like really hardy fish, always have been.
Yeah.
Iconic fish as well. So sorry, just trying to sort this out.
You're all right.
Yeah. It keeps tilting that way. Just getting slightly frustrated with it.
We'll just quickly have one last quick look through the chat.
Yeah.
I think we are all caught up.
Isn't going well at all.
Right, so this is the last chance to ask Ryan from AntScapes any questions before we end the stream. So if there is any last questions, just post them up now. Tetras are amazing little fish. They are, yeah. Like Ryan said, very hardy.
Yeah, definitely. I
remember having them as a kid.
Fill your water through a breeding net. Yeah. To be honest, so it's got quite a big filter on the back, external, that pumps it in quite a bit. So I always think I probably took half of the eggs up in the filter anyway. If I did, I have bred them before. I have bred like Danios, zebra Danios. I bred lemon tetras, things like that. Cherry barbs as well. I used this is when I was younger, like 13, 14. I had them setups. I ended up getting a few. I bred my first ever fish, zebra Danios. Oh, that was weird timing, zebra Danios, yeah. So I used to sell like all the fish and eggs basically to like pet stores, and that's how I'd get like a bit of extra money. So I'd just go in with like a bag of like 100 Danios and be like, you want to buy some? But I remember they'd always like buy all of them off me in one go, or they'd say like Maidenhead Aquatics. They usually just give me like a little voucher. I'd spend. Obviously, I was only young, so for me it was like awesome. So yeah.
Neons are warm water, not cold. Right. Yeah, I think they are
ready
warm,
for the baby. Oh yes. Ready as ready as I can be. Yeah. Everything's done. So the room's done. Bags are in the car ready just in case anything happens. Cots up. Everything's done basically. We're literally just now waiting for it to stop being stubborn and show herself. So. Yeah, man. Thanks for asking. But everything's going really well. Jason's asking where the babies come from. Well, basically, when one male ant and one female ant love each other very much. But yeah, the baby thought it was, but when it came, it wasn't. Yeah. So Richard, it's been crazy. Like, I think it was yesterday. Joe went to the bathroom. And then she was like, oh my God, like, panicking me. I can't move. I can't, everything hurts. And I was like, is it happening? And she was like, oh, I'm fine now, it's fine. And just walks off like nothing's happened. And I'm like, I'm literally just about to set off for work. I'm like, can you not do that? But yeah, so no, everything's going really well. Everything's going really well. Neons are warm. Yeah, warm water, Kevin, tropical. So I keep it at about 25, 26 degrees with the heater there. Yeah, they need temps of 24, 20, 26. I'll just say 25. Yeah, I keep it 25, 26 degrees. And that's also for the ants too, because the water's heated for the trap jars as well. So yeah.
Go for a long walk, about an hour and a half. Normally, I'm going to say hot curry gets the baby moving.
Yeah, people saying curry.
Yeah, my wife literally went into labour during a curry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then refused to admit it the whole evening, went the whole night without admitting she was in labour. And then about 3 o'clock in the morning, I came into her screaming on the sofa.
Oh, God.
I went to bed. I wasn't going to stay up for that. I didn't know you raise the temperature brings on a baby. Eat a curry and walk upstairs. Yeah, there you go. That's a long word.
Didn't know raising the temperature brings on a baby.
Well, I suppose if you think of ants, you give them a bit of warmth, speed up the brood growth.
Yeah. Kevin, yeah, you can buy aquatic heaters, like heaters that just stick onto the back of the glass for tropical as well. Yeah, you can get them really cheap as well from Amazon, things like that. Yeah, Tom, he's saying Tom stole his words. Oh, hello, Tom. It's a know your name now. I'm enjoying sitting on your live stream. Oh, thanks, Mark.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
This has actually been an amazing live stream. I'm going to say a massive thank you to everyone for showing up. Again, we've had so many people signing on. I don't think I've ever had so many people in one stream. So thank you, everyone, for signing on. And a massive thank you to Ryan for joining us and answering some really cool questions.
No, thank you for having me. Honestly, I really, really appreciate it, mate. So thank you. I think it was a matter of time before I got on the live with you, on your channel, wasn't it? So obviously you were on my first feature on mine. So had to be done. It had to be done. And so on mine. Thanks, guys. Ryan. Thank you, Dean.
I think we're going to definitely have you back again in the future if you want to join us again.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
Brilliant.
I was saying,
sorry, Don.
I was going to say, obviously, given, I get the time, because I would love to, but I can imagine in a month or so I'll be busier, so I'll have to schedule it better. But kind of like tonight, I was just like, look, if anything happens, I might have to go midstream, and you never know. But no, I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you, honestly, mate. It's been great. It's been nice chatting with you, and good having people engaged in the chat. Some good questions as well that I didn't know the answers to, especially favorite species and stuff. I don't like people asking me that. And then Andrew came in with his controversial one about my favorite YouTuber and YouTuber. But no, honestly, mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
I'm going to wrap it up there. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for the Picnic Table Ant Chat. Don't forget to join in next Sunday, 9 p.m, same time, same place. We're going to have Ants England next week, so we're going to have an amazing chat again. Yeah, it's going to be another amazing chat with an amazing YouTuber again. So if you want to send in some questions to be asked by me, then join my Discord where you can ask some questions. If not, you just join on the night and shout out your questions on the night. And as always for me, see you again, Ant fans.
Peace and love, guys.
See you later.